5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Hello and welcome to the Atomic Salt Live Show. This is a show that we're going to discuss all things in the tabletop hobby world. I am joined by my buddy here, Casey Roberts. Casey, how are you doing this week?
I'm doing outstanding this week. How are you doing, Alan?
I'm doing pretty good. It's been a nice, relaxing weekend so far. How about yourself?
I've been working on my house, so pretty much the opposite.
Pretty good, huh?
You know, I'm really thinking that we should stop doing a miniature gaming blog and just start doing a home improvement blog, because I might have a lot more to talk about.
Yeah, but there'd be a lot more cursing too, right?
There would be. And blood. And some tears.
But you know, you do get that in assembling in your for miniatures too. So.
Oh my gosh. I don't even want to think about how much blood has been spilled trying to pin some miniatures.
Or when you glue your fingers together and you know you're gonna take off a chunk of skin.
Yeah, it's always great when somebody asks you, "Oh wow, that's an amazing shade of red," or "Oh, what's that red wash?" Oh, that's my blood. That's O negative.
Or you go to assemble a metal miniature and you just happen to leave a fingerprint. Literally a fingerprint.
Oh gosh, have you ever you went to prime something and you should have waited just like an extra 20 minutes before you picked it up? You know, because your fingers are kind of like, and they come away, and you just got like that.
In the summer, it's not that bad because you can just leave it out in the sun. But in the winter, yeah, it's like, come on, let's go.
Well, even when you're patient, I mean, you'd think, here in Utah, our air is pretty dry. But you think, oh yeah, sure, I can just totally leave it overnight. It'll be no big deal. And then you just go to, in the morning to pick it up off the cardboard, and the second you grab it, you're like, oh, still tacky.
That's why I switched to airbrush priming. I know, I mean, it requires you having an airbrush, but this is what I've been. I primed up this weekend. I have a Monk of the Low River from Malifaux.
Oh, outstanding.
Yeah, nice little miniature. Got him all primed, ready to go, and then
he looks surprisingly easy to put together for a Malifaux miniature.
Yeah, the problem is I'm trying to figure out how to base him. That's a weird little pose, so I want to incorporate that. He's a monk of the Low River, so I'll have to figure out how to do that.
Ooh, could you do something like have the base, so think of one tier level as your base, right? This is the top of your base, and have this be water going on. And then on each side have a couple rocks, built up. So he's kind of straddling, some rocks coming up out of the river or something.
I might do that. I have a blank secret weapon hollow base, so I might use that.
Yeah, that'd be perfect for it. And then as it's drying, you kind of give it a little bit of texture, so it looks like the water's flowing instead of just sitting still.
Yeah, I'll have to look up a few tutorials on how to do that.
I've seen people do it. You might want to practice with them.
And then also this guy here, Tariq Mansouri, got him primed up.
Ah, Mr. Manscaping himself. I still think we need to have a one-on-one fight between him and Ajax.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I mean, being a super cricket, he can jump out of the way.
Yeah, but Ajax also has assault, so all he needs to do is just get close.
Mm-hmm. So, have you done anything in the hobby world this week?
I have. It feels like I've gotten a lot done. So, I've got 2 miniatures here that I've got all primed up. So we've got Calico Kate. This is a Super Dungeon Explorer miniature, but it's based off of their Relic Knights series. This is from the Kickstarter. And we've also got Sebastian Cross. So what you'll notice with these, you can probably see a little bit better on Kate, is
His fingerprints?
yeah, my fingerprints. So as you'll notice, she's not actually primed as black or gray or white. She is all three. It's a little procedure that I've been experimenting with. I mean, I know people do it. I don't think a lot of people. I know it's pretty common with airbrushes, but I don't know how many people do it out of rattle can. But I started doing it like a 3-color priming.
Depending on who you talk to on. Now, like I know some people like to prime all white because that gives you more vibrant colors.
Mm-hmm.
People like to prime all black. I know like the 2-tone or the 2 or 3-tone priming, the pre-shading. Most people when they start painting, they go too thick and pretty much take out those transitions. But for me, what I like with my problem with white priming is that like so if I would have white primed Tarek, there are some spots that even my brush can't get to. I've done some white priming before, and there'd be like this little white dot in the neck, and I just can't get a brush to it.
Yep, or up in like underneath the arm or something.
Yeah, and it just, I mean, people probably won't notice it, but it's there, and so I notice it, and it just drives me nuts.
Yep.
But that's why I go the black and with the gray over it, so at least everything underneath is darkened already. So it's already blacked out, and so I won't have to worry about that.
Yeah, and all I'm doing is kind of a similar thing here, but like I said with the rattle can. So for the miniature here, you start up with a black spray, and you actually come in at a pretty low angle. I mean, so this is where you're going to get like, say, up underneath her hair, or you can probably see it better. See the black that's underneath her hair and her coat. And then your second shot of spray is with your gray, and that's coming in from a little bit past 90. You don't want to spray edge on. And I find that if I'm doing that really light, I can keep the black in certain places, like along the cloak where I want it, up underneath in some of these areas. And then the white one is the tricky one. I used to try and do, white from kind of like a topper angle. Really, all you can really do is just come straight down on this side with white. And it's just a really, really fast dusting. Anything more than that, and you're just going to totally wipe out all the gray because that white is just so strong. And, not to mention, you are putting 3-layer. Well, if you do it right, you're not really putting 3 layers of paint on because the paint's all landing in different spots. But, yeah, you have to be careful that you don't get rid of all your details. So you got to keep it light and kind of easy. But, yeah, so I've got these guys ready. I'm excited. I was thinking about it, except for a quick squad of Space Wolves that I did for a few weeks. I have been painting nothing but Infinity for over a year now. So don't get me wrong, I love painting Infinity because they have amazing miniatures. But I'm ready to paint something a little bit.
Well, like, actually, I think we might be seeing some Super Dungeon Explorer here in maybe a month or so.
That's kind of what I'm hoping. Weren't they saying in March, I believe?
So I think it's all dependent on the Chinese New Year. This is the time of the year where everybody's trying to squeak it out. Let's get everything on the ships before then. Otherwise, it's a 2-week slowdown. So hopefully we'll see Wave 1 shipping here in a month or so.
Yeah, and I really think that we need to play some Super Dungeon Explorer, and maybe we can even set it up as an evening show. Bring in a couple of people and try and figure out something.
Yeah, there's 3 sets of rules, so it's going to be. We'll have to figure out which way to go.
Oh, and then one other thing I did. It's probably not going to show up too well on camera, but anybody else who plays Relic Knights, you'll notice that these are actually the pieces for their booster packs. Now, I do not play Relic Knights. I have no clue what booster packs do. I can tell you that these things make amazing little objective markers. So I've notched them on their base. You can see that the bases are purple, like all Relic Knight stuff. I spray painted them black, and just a couple quick base coats, washing, a little bit of dry brushing. I'm going to have an amazing set of markers, all for just a few bucks.
Yeah, it's nice. It's good. It's good being able to go out and find some nice little trinkets that you can use for other games.
Yeah, and it's great because most people who play 40K are typically not looking at a lot of other games. They're usually, Relic Knights is still a niche game. They had a huge Kickstarter, but when you start like talking about Relic Knights, or the models start showing up, a lot of people still aren't familiar with it. So they still get a little bit of oohs and ahs, and people pick them up and look them over and say, "What is that?"
Well, like this weekend, we saw TempleCon. A lot of companies were there. Relic Knights, Soda Pop Miniatures was there. A few other companies as well were showing off their new games. It's the start of con season, so we're going to see a lot of these weekend events coming out.
Well, because it was just TempleCon, and we also have the Horus Heresy weekend, we've got a lot of new stuff coming up. How about we just kind of stick on this topic here the rest of the evening?
Okay. So, one of the things at TempleCon that caught my attention was Dark Age games. We had they had a surprising release reveal, I should say. Let me do a screen share. So, for those of you that don't know, I didn't know either. Dark Age has been around for 10 years. This has been a game that doesn't get a lot of press, but they've been gathering a lot of steam recently in the last couple of years.
Yeah, now the last couple of years, they actually just released a new edition of their book about a year or two ago, didn't they?
Correct. And they said that they were going to do a new book every year or every other year. That is a rule book. But here at TempleCon, they made an announcement that they're going to do a book every 6 months, or two book releases every year. But this is not going to be a full rules. This is actually going to be faction-wise. So for this part of the year, we're going to have Dark Age Outcast. And so it's a new book, rules covering, it's like a faction book. And we saw some, like a sub-faction of the Outcast, the Salt. And yeah, we got some new miniatures coming down the line. This guy, I really like. This is the Hands of War. Like a desert ninja, basically.
Yeah, that is really slick looking. I'm not familiar with Dark Age much at all, but I do know enough that I can tell that they're models. Like every different faction has a very, very different style.
True.
At least aesthetically.
And from what they were saying is that, so they've been around for 10 years. They're actually starting to produce, re-release some of their older sculpts to new sculpts. Probably doing a lot of digital sculpting that everybody's been going to. So we're going to see some better looking miniatures coming out of Dark Age.
Okay, now are they working in plastic or in metal?
It's white metal. And well, they do have resin too. It's a white metal resin company. So some of their bigger guys like Bongo, the big guy with the cement on his arms. I think he's part resin.
Okay. And they're a skirmish. It's a skirmish size game, correct?
Correct.
So pretty easy to get into price-wise.
Yeah, and like I said, the miniatures. Because before the Geek Garage guys, they're like, "Oh, you need to get in this game." And I was looking at their older boxes. I'm like, nothing really speaks to me. Now I'm like, oh, I've got options now.
You know, it's funny you say that because that was the same way I felt about Infinity. The first time somebody brought it up to me and I really looked at it, I looked at all their old stuff and I was like, no thank you. No thank you at all. Whereas now I think I've got plans for like 4 or 5 different armies. So, yeah, and the same thing, I mean, Infinity was around for a long time, up until the last few years when they really started getting traction.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be great. I mean, the digital sculpting, the 3D printing, it's going to be really great for us people with shiny syndrome.
So what else did we see come out of TempleCon?
So the other people who were there, the big news release was Privateer Press. They had their keynote this year, and they had a few releases.
They do a steampunk game, right?
Yeah, I know you
Good
don't
night,
like
everybody.
steampunk.
Good night. I'm done.
There's a few things in here. So first release, or one of the things they announced was the Undercity. This goes with their Iron Kingdoms. It is
They're
it's a
RPG, right?
yeah, it's an RPG. This is like a standalone board game, and it's a dungeon crawl. And I'm going to take some pictures here from Norbin on Twitter, who was there. And you're a group of adventurers, 2 to 4 players, and it's a campaign system. So you progress through the several missions.
Now, am I seeing that right? Can your character actually be a warjack?
So they have in here they have the Trollkin and the little gobber there. He's a Jack Marshall. So he's got access to a warjack.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, we've got that coming pretty soon. Let's see, fall this year. So we'll see. Hopefully, a lot more coming down the line on this one. And then also from Privateer Press, we have Colossals, some new, brand new Colossals coming down the line. Now, like with War Machine, they do have several jacks that have the same frame. And that's what they're going to do here with the Colossals. They're going to have these new Colossals, same frame but different loadout.
So does this mean that we're going to be seeing like a multi-kit option, or are you going to have to buy these frames and loadouts?
You're probably going to have to buy. They're going to be separate boxes because they come with the cards and everything.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, we have the Prime Conflicts here.
Because why would you not screw over your fan base for money, right?
I mean, there's just some brand new looking kits for like this guy here, the Victor. Yeah, I mean, I play Kador, and this guy looks pretty cool. Nothing like a big walking gun platform.
Yeah, he looks like a combination of like an orc dreadnought and like a knight type.
And then we got the Menoth. Instead of having rockets, it's got these big flamethrowers. And the Hurricane from Signar. And yeah, we got Colossals. But they're going to say uh, another convention down the line. I think we'll see something from Hordes, which will be interesting.
Okay, so like a super monstrous creature sort of thing.
Well,
Maybe have like a dozen guys hanging off of a giant troll or an elephant or something.
well, with the Warjack, you have a different frame, but with the War Beast, so I don't know if we'll see another Mountain King or another version of a Archangel.
Mhm.
So it'll be interesting. So look forward to seeing those in the future.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I just can't buy into Fellowship Fest. Like the whole steampunk thing, like I don't know, like that last, the Cater Warjack that we were looking at, that's pretty cool. But then when all of a sudden I see like a boiler or something attached to these guys, I just kind of go,
Hordes might be your option. I mean, that's you got these people. They're a little bit more on the brutal side of things.
and don't get me wrong, I have thought about it. I mean, if I was going to go that direction, I think I definitely have to fall into the Hordes category. But even just playing the game, all right. Now let's be honest. I play 40K, so I even like the Space Wolves. There's a certain amount of silliness that I am willing to deal with in my war team. You look at the guy. Now I'm not going to say I approve of Santa's sled, but I don't completely loathe it either. For the same time, so for those of you who don't know, I'm an engineer. I spend a lot of time around technology and how it works and how it doesn't work. And so, you tell me, ooh, it's some crazy, futuristic power generator making all this stuff work with unobtainium materials. Okay, I can buy that. But then you say, and then we have like this giant 2-story robot that shoots lightning out of it, and it's all powered by burning wood and coal. I go, no, 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 no. You can power it by magic. Yeah, sure. I can buy that it's all magic. See, we've got magic wood that we're burning, and I don't know. Like and maybe that's what they do, but I just can't. And that's probably one of the reasons I have a problem with steampunk in general. Is I know the rules, and I know the rules that they're breaking, and I would rather they just wave their hands over it and not even try and justify it versus trying to do long, convoluted ways of
you play Space Wolves. You got Papa Santa. How about this? Another sleigh. This is for Legion. It's the Horde's equivalent.
Wow, that is a proper sled here. Hold on, people, while you get a close up of my eyeballs.
But I mean, yeah, if you like sleighs, there you go.
I'm not sure I want to paint that. Like that looks amazing, but I don't want to paint it.
Yeah, paint it how you want it to paint it.
Spray primer and wash, and done. Done is the most beautiful color of all. So, all right. Do we have anything else interesting come out of TempleCon?
That was pretty much it that I saw. Like I said, with these cons coming out, we're going to see companies holding off information until the actual con. So, but you were talking about Forge World earlier.
Yeah, let's Let me share the screen here. So, first of all, everybody, we're going to the Bell of Lost Souls page because there's a lot of pictures of what we're about to talk about, but they were nice enough to put it all together on one page, and I'm a little lazy. So, it's a match made in heaven.
That's a lot of guns.
That is a ton of guns. So, I guess first of all, let's back up and say that this was the Forge World, technically it's GW and Forge World, but GW doesn't really cover a lot of stuff here. This was the Forge World Horus Heresy weekend. So it was a chance for everybody to sit down and talk with the authors of the Horus Heresy Black Library novels. Look at the Horus Heresy era miniatures for 30K and get a preview of what's coming up. So yeah, so first and foremost, we've got our Dorado class Dreadnought. We've seen this class of Dreadnought before, but it's some new arm options for it.
So are those plasma or are those meltas?
Those are plasma, some kind of plasma artillery. Whatever it is, it's going to make Marines cry. So that's the interesting thing about Horus Heresy. Some people complain about it. They say, "Oh, all it is it's just, Marines fighting Marines that look like each other." And to a certain extent, that's true because, that's what it was. It was a fight between Space Marines. But it also means that all your weapons out there are really good at killing Marines. So I guess these games don't last very long. I don't personally play 30K. I'm not rich enough for it. So yeah, I love this new Dreadnought chassis. I know it's really really dividing, but I like it. I think it looks great. I want one. So if anybody out there is looking to give me a birthday present, now you know.
It's a lot of resin.
Oh gosh, yes. I talk about models that I'm afraid of. This is one of them. This would be like a 3-month project. So, next up, these were their event exclusive miniatures. They actually showed those off a little bit beforehand. An Alpha Legion character with an unfortunate mask, and an Iron Hands. Fairly generic. I mean, I do not know either one of these characters. I've started reading the books, but I haven't come across either of these yet. But, generic-looking characters, generic-looking poses.
But they're a lot better than last year's.
Very true.
The Minotaur with the heavy bolter.
Yep. Very true. They look a lot better. They're a lot nicer painted. I gotta say, I'm actually kind of interested. I don't really like Alpha Legion all that much. They're not my style. They're not. There's nothing about them that gets me excited. But holy Hannah, I do love their paint jobs. Like, I just like the way their armor looks. So, and Forge World paints them very, very nice. So however they do their scheme for Alpha Legion, I would love to know. So the Imperial Primus Redoubt Gun. Forge World does have their line of tiles. This is another one with a giant gun. Again, looks like it's really good at killing Marines. And you can see there's actually a couple little Marines standing in the middle of it to give you a sense of scale. You want a bunch of resin, Alan? Here you go.
Yeah, I don't know if. I mean, it'd be great to have a whole board like that, but that's a lot of shipping and handling.
Yeah, and I mean, if you're going to get something like this, you really got to just go whole hog and get get like another 6 or 7 tiles to go with it and do a whole board. But at the same time, you're probably looking at $500 or $600. And while I love the idea, like I said, I can't afford Forge World. I love it, but I can't afford it.
Just get yourself some blue foam or pink foam and give yourself a weekend. You'll be all right.
And that's the unfortunate thing for is, with the exception of that little turret, I look around and I'm like, this is all stuff that you could really do with hard foam, a file, and a hot wire cutter if you had a little bit of time. So,
That's how GW started out. It was all garage kits. I have a PDF for Papercraft Lemon Russ. So.
yeah. Yeah, definitely. I mean, try and build your own. You can probably make something fairly similar to it. I think that 90% of this board right here that's really cool is the paint job that they've done on it. Next is Mechanicus Ordinatus. Again, I'm not a Mechanicum player because they have that steampunky feel, and I just can't buy into it.
That looks a lot like, was it it's a 10 millimeter game. I can't think. It looks a lot like what you'd see from that one.
I don't know. I look at this thing and I just see it looks like a giant like Bond villain super weapon, you know. But I will say this picture tells us something very interesting, and maybe other people knew it. I certainly didn't, but it tells us that Forge World actually uses digital scope. I thought that they were still old school, you know, using green stuff. Like I know GW had started doing it a little bit, but yeah, and I think we're going to see a couple more pictures here that GW actually does, and Forge World uses digital sculpting as well now.
They have to. I mean, as fast as they're pushing out kits and models these days, you have to have a 3D printer and a 3D sculptor.
Yeah, although I will say it feels kind of like a little bit of lazy copy and paste design. I mean, you have the two sets of treads, which once you start looking at them are almost identical to each other. One is just a scaled up version of the other. Yeah, it feels like there's a lot of copy and paste on this one. That being said, when you're building a giant machine, you're going to want to use the same parts as much as possible. So I guess it kind of makes sense. Some more Adeptus Mechanicus, the command section. More digital sculpts going on here. Unfortunately, and here's the cool thing, is this is like a whole squad of guys, you know, they've digitally sculpted up and they're putting together. You know, typically when we see digital sculpts, we're only seeing like one miniature at a time. So, you know, pick any one of these guys and compare what their digital sculpt looks like to other digital sculpting that we're seeing out there right now, and it looks phenomenal. All right, this one is for all the Smurfs out there. It is Ultramarine time. Some people would just say, yep, there are more Space Marines. You know, big shoulder pads, clunky helmets, guys not wearing their helmets who ought to be wearing their helmets. But holy cow, I am excited.
It says upgrade set, but I'm like, is it a command set? Is it a certain mark pattern?
Okay, so typically how they do it is they'll have their upgrade sets. So you take like your standard tactical squad, and then you would take these guys and you would splice them. So there's going to be a certain amount of things that that you're going to need from like a regular box. So like all their arms and bolters might not actually come in that kit, and a number of the shoulder pads might not be in that kit as well. What you're probably going to see is you're going to see like the unique helmets, the unique chest pads, and right now it looks like some unique legs. Whereas the rest of it looks fairly standard. So when they say upgrade set, that basically means that you're not getting the whole miniature. You're just going to get pieces to stick onto existing GW miniatures. And so because of that, they're probably not calling out armor marks right now. I mean, I'm sure we'll see like, you know, the Mark 2-3s later on. But this is more something just to kind of splice into your 40K units. You know, maybe make these guys like your sergeants or something like that. or just have a really expensive unit that looks different from everyone else.
A unit that you can't keep in your car during the hot summer day.
Exactly. Although I suppose you can. You just can't touch them. So we're going to see, now we're getting back to the 3K. So this is, if you can't tell from the armor, this is an Alpha Legion character. Who this guy is, I don't know. But the one thing that
Is
strikes
he
me
Alpha
is,
Legion or Salamanders? Because it's a kind of a scale pattern on his chest.
I'm going to call he's Alpha Legion because it says he's Alpha Legion.
Okay.
Yeah, Alpha Legion, their mark is the Hydra. So you tend to get you also get a lot of dragon scales and like a dragon looking but the one thing I noticed with this guy is, look at his face. It's Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah, that's a very nice looking sculpt.
Yeah, and that's the thing. If they have a problem anywhere, it's their heroic scale. You know, how it just makes their faces and hands look weird. But look at the proportions of this guy, and it just looks solid. At the same time, he doesn't have anything weird going on with it. You know, like they haven't overdone any one motif, which is another sin that GW tends to fall into. You know, we don't have like hydras on top of hydras with spinning rims hydras, bro. Going on here. It's just, he's a very nice, very unique model that has just been beautifully sculpted, especially in the face and with the hands. So, like I said, I'm not really the Alpha Legion, but gosh, they have some of the best looking stuff. A Stormblade. You want
God,
to play count? You want to play count the guns on this guy, Alan?
That is a walking gunship.
Yeah, obviously it's a super heavy. This is a unit that came from 40K Epic that they finally decided to bring over. I know a lot of people have actually made their own versions of this tank before, but Forge Rules is doing an official one, so it means we're going to be getting some rules for it. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And that's just the guns that I can see.
You could land the Storm Raven on that thing.
Yeah, you really could. That's yeah, I don't even know what to say about this thing. It's just so huge. You know, I mean, I haven't ever had to deal with a Bane Blade, but I imagine it's a more shooty version of a Bane Blade. So we're talking 14 all around, like a million hull points on it. Even when you get like a penetrate and explode hit, it doesn't count.
It's going to be one of those, you buy it, you spend 2 months painting it, you put it on the board, somebody brings a drop pod full of Meltas, and the thing goes supernova.
Here's the thing is, that is actually not true. Like super heavies have a lot of special rules where, you know, even like a pack of guys, like I tried to put together a Farsight bomb, you know, with just Meltas loaded up onto it. And it was, at least, you know, banging out the map, it was really dubious if I could take it out in one shot. You know, and that's with 14 basically twin link Melta shots with tank hunters. It's an interesting proposition. And even at that point, then when it goes supernova, you're trading, you know, 750 points for 750 points because it's going to kill everything close to it. So, but it will be fun to fight against. You're going to be that guy at your gaming store.
So what else do you got for us?
Vindicator laser destroyer array. So you got a Vindicator. What I kind of dig is, we're told that Vindicators are kind of like up armored vehicles, but you don't ever really see it. At this looks like what a Vindicator should. With all the extra armor up in front.
It looks skinnier.
Usually you see sponsons on the side that kind of bulk it out. But they just have blank sides on this one. That might have something to do with it. Some more steampunky kind of guys here. The Salax Guardian Automata or Automata. Now, at the same time, I say that I'm not really interested in them, but gosh, you got to look at these models and just say this is amazing what they're able to do. And good because this is resin, it means that they're all going to become bent to crap. So get ready to do a lot of rebending and posing with these guys. Or if they're really mean, they're just going to send it to you all straight. They're going to make you bend it all yourself, which they have been known to do before.
It'd be interesting. I mean, I know a lot of people want to play craft worlds and all that.
Yeah, this is going to be more Mechanicus stuff. So Mars pattern guys versus like the Eldar craft worlds. But yeah, gosh, there's some people who love these things. Like they cannot get enough of it. And I don't understand it, but then again, there's a lot of room in this hobby for everybody. So, and then we're going to get to my favorite right here. The Viper from Battlestar Galactica.
Nice! Are you going to get one and put Starbuck on the side?
Which Starbuck are we talking about? Are we talking about Face from the A-Team or a whiny brat who just looks weird every time she puts a cigar in her mouth? Don't get me wrong, I think Katie Sackhoff did a great job with it, but she wasn't Starbuck. But yeah, oh my gosh. I would love to buy 2 of these things. I think that this is the first Marine. I'll take that back. This is the second Marine flyer that I have actually can say I liked.
Because does that pique your engineering?
Yeah, because it actually has like wings that are in a generally correct configuration. It has appropriately sized engines in an appropriate place. So, yeah, we can talk about this for a second here. You place your wings. So, the way aerodynamics works is.
Let's keep this a little short and simple.
Okay, so. As much as possible, this makes sense from a configuration standpoint and a shape standpoint. I'm not saying we could make one to build it. We could build one today that would fly, but at the same time, it doesn't look out of the realm of possibility in the next 50 years. So somebody at Lockheed Martin or Boeing is working on something that looks like this. And you thought your Thunderhawk was big.
Wow, that thing is huge.
Yeah, and some people really hate it. Because if you read in the Horus Heresy books, a Stormbird is like a pre-Imperium type vehicle. There's not a whole lot of them. They're really kind of treasured artifacts. They're ginormous, but they're just talked about as being very graceful and very pretty to look at. And this guy looks like a Thunderhawk with a few more engines stuck on it. So, it's a model that nobody thought that they would ever build because it's just so much resin and so much detail all over the place. And I'm willing to wager that this model isn't actually done. I think that this one is still a pretty good work in progress. There's other vehicles where you can actually see, like a Razorback actually has room to drive up inside of this thing. So, I don't know, probably weighs about 45 pounds when it's all done and cast. You're going to be going to Home Depot to get screws to put this thing together.
Yeah, but it's one of those like you buy it and you can't even put it on the table.
Yeah, it's like buying a Talmanta. You buy it, you build it, you paint it, and then what do you do with it? Then you weep because you're so alone. And then one more, kind of their last like Steve Jobs kind of moment. One more thing. We have a preview of our next primer. Can you guess who this is, Alan?
Let's see. Let me lock it up. Let's see. What do we got here? Bird. Stoic face. Is this Blood Angels?
Fair guess. But Sanguinius has big wings. And there are no big wings on this guy. My first guess actually was that this was Rogel Dorn, because we've been seeing a lot of the Imperial Fist stuff coming out. It made sense to see their Primarch. And it's so, like, the face looks pretty similar. Like, this is kind of how they've always portrayed Dorn. But if you look closely, I kind of cheated. I didn't show you this part. You can see the big inverted Omega symbol here, and here, and here.
Yeah, the ultramarine laurels and all that.
Yep. We have, I'm probably going to butcher this name. We have Robert Juliman. I don't know. I always call him Robert in my head.
Gilliman? I think I heard people call it. Yeah.
Juliman? I don't know. It looks French, so I want to say like a French accent, more like Robert Juliman.
Now, isn't there a current miniature for him in 40K?
No, there is not.
But he's on the book, right? He's the one sitting on the chair, right?
That is Marinus Calgar, the Ultramarines chapter master. So there are no Primarchs in 40K right now, unless you count Vulcan, but they're all kind of like, all their chapter masters are named Vulcan, so it's not the actual Vulcan. At least we don't know. Maybe.
That's a greatly detailed looking miniature. I like the pose. Can't wait to see some paint on him.
Yeah, when this guy has some paint on him, he's going to look amazing. And it's nice to see kind of some of the good guys. They've been doing a lot of the bad guy Primarchs for a while. And I think the reason why they said is we're going to see different variants of Primarchs. Like, we've seen kind of a mostly normal Horus or I can't remember his name now. Is the one that looks like Sting. Whatever. Fulgrim. There we go. Fulgrim. But we both know that those guys undergo some pretty crazy changes over the course of the heresy. And so I think they're actually going to release more like demonic versions of it. Versus the good guys should probably stay pretty much the same. So there you go. That's what Forge World and GW had up their sleeve this week.
Pretty cool.
And the best part is we're just getting started with con season. There's so much more coming.
True, very true. So let's put it out to you guys, the viewers. I mean, you saw what Forge World has, you saw Privateer Press, you saw Dark Age. Which game would you like to get into? Which miniatures would you like to buy? You want to buy them all?
And who would you say won the weekend? What's your top model across everything?
Yeah, be sure to put it down in the comments. Let us know. We'll have Casey down there in the comments doing what he does best, talking about stuff.
Making no sense, enraging minorities, offending people's religions. I'm a one-stop shop.
And if you want to discuss aerodynamics with him, he'll be happy to chat you up too.
I totally did that the other night when we were vacuum shopping, and my wife hated me for it. All right, well, that's all I've got for tonight, Alan. What about you?
That's it for me. Thank you guys for watching. Be sure to tune in next week. Comment below. Let us know what you think. Like this video. Share it with your friends. Subscribe to see more.
And as always, if you're wanting to point something out to us, or if you're looking to get a hold of us for product reviews, you can get a hold of us at theatomicsalt@gmail.com, because we are the Atomic Salt, and we've just blown your mind.
Have a good night, guys.